featherweights throwing down here as we have Julian Erosa coming in at plus 250, going up against Lorian Douglas, who comes in at minus 300. Now, Julian Erosa is coming off of a decision loss at the hands of Melquizai Alcosta, and that fight snapped a 3-fight winning streak for the veteran. I believe that was the second opportunity he had of going on a 4-fight winning streak in the UFC. The first one was after in 2021 to 2022, but then ended up getting knocked out by Alex Caceres. He returned 4 to 5 months later, got knocked out by Fernando Padilla. Then he took off an entire year and then returned with 3 straight wins, 3 straight finishes over Ricardo Ramos, Christian Rodriguez, and then a dominant showcase over Darren Elkins. The Melquizai Alcosta fight was not all that bad. That was a close fight. But also goes to show when Julian Erosa's chin holds up, this guy's a very tough veteran to deal with. He's 36, so obviously up there in terms of age, but this guy has a very awkward and unorthodox striking style that has made it very difficult for a lot of opponents to have success against him. But if you can catch him on one of those unorthodox exits from the pocket, that's where his chin issues could potentially hold up. But the fact that his chin held up against a guy like Melquizai Alcosta, who's gone out there and finished, Morgan Charrier, was the first guy to knock out Dan Ige earlier this year. That just kind of goes to show the wild card nature of Erosa's style and his durability. If it shows up, he's going to be hell to deal with. And we know he also has a very sneaky guillotine choke for anybody looking to take him to the ground. And he has great cardio to go 15 minutes if he needs to. Not to mention his experience. This is his 18th UFC fight this weekend, as well as his 44th fight overall. Now he's going up against Lorian Douglas, who's looking to make his UFC debut after a dominant showing on the Contender Series, knocking out Cam Teague in just 36 seconds. Now, Douglas was a guy that was looking like he was just going to fade into obscurity, fighting constantly with the LFA, but not really building enough momentum to get to the UFC. That was until he ended up getting finished by Isaac Thompson, who is also now in the UFC. But it seemed that around that time he joined the Bloodline team out in California, which is known for guys like Cub Swanson, Danny Silva, Rafa Garcia, even LFA champion Richie Miranda, and something just changed for him. He went out there, started knocking his opponents out. He ended up winning the title by knocking out, I believe it was Javier Reyes. Yeah, Javier Reyes, who's now obviously in the UFC as well, had some decent performances himself. Won the interim title there. Unified the interim title against Elijah Johns by knocking him out and then getting that call to the Contender Series last year and making good on it. Opponents in the past have looked to take him to the ground to try to muzzle him in his power, but he's done a great job in terms of working on his defense, and now he can go into the striking game and be very confident with the amount of power that he carries, and that's obviously, translated into all these knockout wins that he's been able to get. He's 30 years old, firmly in his prime, but this weekend will be a good test to see where he's really at, especially if Julian Erosa's chin holds up. And that's kind of my reason for not being overly confident on the Douglas side. I think he wins. I think he finds the knockout. I think he exposes the flaws in the defensive striking game of Julian Erosa because of the awkward style that he brings. But if Douglas can't find that big shot to put Erosa away, Erosa could absolutely make this fight very close, just like he did against Melquizai Alcosta. So I think the way to go of this in this fight may be the Douglas knockout. Maybe that's how he ends up looking, minus 300 by actually getting that knockout. I'd be interested to see what that line actually is. I don't have access to the KO props as of yet. I would assume with Douglas being at minus 300 and all of his recent wins coming by knockout, we're probably going to get like minus 110, maybe minus 150 on the knockout prop. But I think that's how he ends up winning here. So I'm going to go Lorian Douglas. I'm going to go Douglas by knockout, but I'm just a little bit queasy about that type of chalk, especially if Erosa's chin ends up holding up.